Hi, I'm Brian Copping with another Geezer production. In my continuing series of conversations, today I'm talking with Randy MacDonald. Now, Randy I've known for over 30 years. He is a descendant of a Métis grandmother, and his great-grandmother was a full-blooded Cree. And today he's relating anecdotes told to him by his brother and sister in regards to their experiences dealing with the Indigenous reserves here in Alberta.
So what's the dealie here?
Okay. So I phoned my sister last night.
Yeah.
And chatted with her for a little while. And then I gave her a basic lowdown and said to her that one of the things that we had come up with last night or yesterday was to do something like still standing and go talk to Indigenous people, both on and off the reserve, go talk to reserves, right? Visit them, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I could use some help. Like, how do I approach this? You know what she said? Been there, lived it, and I'm not going back.
Oh, wow.
She then went on to say that the problem is that if you're not, it's much like the rest of Canada, but worse. If you're not part of the elite, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And if you don't toe the line, they take away anything you should be getting. Okay. She said, yeah, I knew people who complained on the reserve, and they even took away their health care. Wow. So we chatted about that for a little while, and she said, you should go talk to your brother. He worked up there for years, and he worked with reserves and companies out of reserves. You go talk to him and then decide what you want to do. Okay. So I ended up talking to Garnet this morning and again gave him the spiel. And he said, oh, wow, let me explain to you how it works. Because he said, I found this out the hard way. So he said, let's start with the basics. You have a reserve. And for argument's sake, that reserve has 1,000 people on it. And then it comes time where the people get together and elect the chief. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're running for chief, and I'm running for chief. You have over 300 family members. I have 125.
Oh, yeah.
You know who's going to win. Once you've won, you get to appoint the band council. You are basically, he didn't use that name, but you're basically Putin. You own and run everything. You do what you want, when you want, and nobody questions you. Matter of fact, those few that have in the past, both government, legit, and on their own reserve, live to regret it. Okay? So he said, there you go. He said, now you take that, and then the government dumps millions of dollars into your coffers. And yes, there's rules and regulations on what you're supposed to do with it, but they do what they want.
Yeah.
So you get to be chief, and now you appoint Sue as the, financial wizard, right?
Yeah.
To look after this money for you. Now you've got you and Sue looking after it. And you appoint a bunch of other people and blah, blah, blah. Well, as Garnet said, so you're the one who gets a brand new pickup truck. Chances are the guys who ran against you get nothing. And if you create a big enough stink, they do things like start cutting you off from benefits.
Funds, whatever, yeah.
Right? So he said, so now you take it one step further. All this money coming in, nobody wants to work because everybody's going to do everything they can on the reserve to come to you with something to get a favor, to get some money and or I'll do as you say to maybe get more money. Nobody works. I've heard this statement so many times. Well, Garnet says, nobody works. The whole idea of work is to try and get money out of the band. I'm going to do things to secure favors from you so that you'll get me a used pickup truck.
Yeah.
Right? So then we're chatting a bit more. And I said, yeah, I said, you know, with all this reconciliation and racism and all that shit, we just thought it'd be nice to, you know, kind of fun to go talk to them and, you know, try and figure things out. And he said, oh, he said, you'd have a blast. But he said, you're not going to find what you think you're going to find. You're not, it's not like you going out and it's not like us going out and talking to IT folk, right? Those in big companies versus those on the street doing their own stuff. Not like that at all. So he said, I'll do some research. He said, I'll give you an example. And he said, and go look for it. Go look for it yourself. But he said, I'll give you an example. He said, the casino, in other words, Enoch.
Yeah.
And he said, you can go to any band. But he says, before you go to the casino, you get as many pictures as you can of all the chiefs. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you got 20 pictures of, including the Enoch chief and a whole bunch of other chiefs. He said, then you go in and take a look at the high roller tables, and especially on the weekend. He says, you'll find them there. And you got to have pictures because they're not all going to be there, but you'll find them. You'll look at it and go, there's Chief XYZ from the ABC band. And he said, and just watch what you can watch. And he said, I've seen it. He said, where I've seen them drop $25,000 in one hand and not blink an eye over it because they need more money. They just go back and get it. They just, as Garnet said, he said, one thing I found is a lot of the band administration, the guy who's running it, you know, you may appoint me to run it, but then I hire people who, and you don't really hire them, you're doing them a favor. They get some money if they do this. You get people in there who maybe aren't the swiftest in the world. He said, I ran across people who couldn't even read. And he said, then what they do is they'll come in, the chief will come in, and you're the chief, I'm running the band office, and you tell me, write me out a check for $25,000. And I may say, well, where do I get this from? So they'll have an account, a bank account in one bank for healthcare, and another one for this, and another one for blah, blah, blah. He's in there, and so what they'll do is they'll say, well, yeah, there seems to be money in healthcare. I'll give it to you out of the healthcare fund. Oh, there's your 25,000. Go have a good time.
Wow.
And that percolates all the way through the tribe. The ones at the bottom have nothing, but they want to do favor. They want to get into favor with you because as far as they're concerned, that's the only way they're going to get anything.
Yeah.
And if they know something and they're going to splash it all over, well, then there's a total concerted effort to obliterate them.
This kind of reads very similar to Blackstone. Remember the APTN show that I had a couple of roles in, or at least a couple of episodes.
Okay.
And it was all about the corruption within the band. It was a fictional band, but it's based on reality, of course. And it was all about the corruption of this one particular chief and everybody under him, and they rode roughshod over everybody. And
you're the chief. So what happens is the government gives you $50 million. Now that's for you to monitor and maintain and blah, blah, blah. And you trickle it down through the people who you want or like, who support you or whatever. But it's usually the top 1%. And it has nothing to do with ability. It's got everything to do with nepotism. So you give money to Judith, you give money to, you buy Bree a new car and Stuart a new truck, and you know what I mean? Everybody else has to scramble for nickels and dimes.
Yeah.
But nobody works. See, nobody's working.
Yeah.
I own a grocery store. I hire people. People are working. Does that mean that there's no corruption going on in the country? No. But me as the low-level person, I can actually make money. I can actually move ahead. I can actually accumulate. Whereas in the reserves, the ones at the bottom half, no, they get nothing.
Yeah.